Hey, what's up, headbangers? Michael, Soul MetalHead here. Just driving home from work. Just thought I'd drop a quick little video. Just get your opinion on, besides talking about my books, my comic books, what would you like to hear me talk about? I mean, do you really want to hear me say anything at all? Anyways, like in my first video, been reading comic books for over 40 years, listening to metal for just about as long, and sci-fi probably longer. Just an FYI, my first comic books ever were G.I. Joe #1 and Amazing Spider-Man 231 or 232. It was Spider-Man versus Cobra and Mr. Hyde. They used to be a team. They used to pull heists. It might still be a thing. I don't know. I don't keep up with Spider-Man that much anymore. Let's see. My first ever metal album that I bought was AC/DC Back in Black. I bought. My mom bought for me. First concert I went to was the same band, AC/DC Back in Black. And the first sci-fi I ever really remember seeing was the original War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells back in, I want to say, the mid-50s. That, and also Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and the original Thing back in the day. Those are the first three that I really vividly remember as far as sci-fi goes. So what do you want to hear me talk about? I'm going to leave that up to you. Hopefully I get a lot of people excuse me, to watch this video and throw me their ideas. If you don't throw me the ideas in the comments down below, you can contact me at Twitter, or you can get a hold of me on Instagram. Same name. I think it's Some Old Metalhead in 1968 on both of those. And if you have Facebook, you can get a hold of me at Chromosome 21 Comics. And yeah, so since I'm driving home and I'm kind of sitting here in some moderate traffic, so yeah, I remember me and a buddy of mine, Todd, we had just gone to a mall close to our house. We rode our bikes over there. Came back, and there's a place called the State Theater where we used to watch movies. I can't remember what movie we watched because I'm old. But I remember after we were done with the movies, the 7-Eleven was right in the same parking lot. We rode over to there. We got a Slurpee. More than likely I got a Coke or Pepsi Slurpee because they didn't really have a lot of flavors back then. It was Coke, cherry, and who knows what else. And I had a little bit of money left over, and I walked down the aisle and I saw the comic book rack, and I started flipping through it, turnstile actually, turning it around, the old wire turnstiles, and came across G.I. Joe #1. I was like, man, this looks cool, because back when I was younger, they had the big G.I. Joe toys, and they were big, huge, like 9-foot tall figures, and they came with, you get a Jeep, a helicopter, all kinds of stuff with them. There's G.I. Joe, a couple other ones, and they also used to make picture books, like comic books, that you had a LP record that you would put on, and you would listen to the record. It would tell with the sound effects and everything was going, and when it beeped, you turn the page. That's a little bit off subject, but I saw the G.I. Joe comic book, and I was like, cool, I know G.I. Joe. Well, it wasn't the same G.I. Joe. And I flipped a little bit further, and I saw the Amazing Spider-Man. And I believe it was 231, because Spider-Man was on the wall, and Cobra had his arm, Cobra? Gosh, I can't remember. Had his arms wrapped around him, and I was like, man, that's an awesome looking cover, so I grabbed both of those. The G.I. Joe, I think, was $1.25, and the Spider-Man was 75 cents. I took those home, read them multiple times, and then in the back of the G.I. Joe magazine, just shows you how stupid I was. Back of the G.I. Joe magazine, they had you could subscribe to a comic book for a year. So I took the G.I. Joe #1, and I cut out the little card you're supposed to send into it, probably destroying the value of the comic book completely. And I checked off, I want to get more G.I. Joes, I want to get more SpiderMans. Asked my mom for the money for the subscription, and sent that in. And I think it was about a month and a half later, I got G.I. Joe number 3. I missed issue number 2, which is really rare. I finally found it, but since then I've sold all my G.I. Joes. And then I got, it was Amazing Spider-Man 234, or 233 or 234, and I had to go and find the other 2 issues. So then I had to go, well shoot. I went back to the 7-Eleven, they didn't have them, so I had to figure out, where do I get comic books besides 7-Eleven? That shows you how old I am. But there were comic book shops. There's a place downtown called Comics and Comics. There's another place that sold comic books and D&D stuff. It was called Dragon's Den. And there was a couple of little smaller ones in Sacramento where I lived. And then I just started, I was addicted. It was a drug, and I lived for every, comic books would come out on a Wednesday. Well, I would have to wait till Saturday. I'd get money from my mom for the bus. I would take the bus downtown to the Comics and Comics shop, and I would buy all my comics on a Saturday. That's where I learned about pull lists. They were just called collector lists back then. And signed up for those, and found a vast more variety of comic books that they didn't have at the 7-Eleven. And so I started collecting Daredevil, Captain America, what did I collect all back then? Some Batman, some Superman. Anyways, so that's how I got in comic books, and here I am. Took me 40 years to finally do something about it and start making my own. But anyways, yeah, so I could talk about comic books all day long. About seeing them go from 75 cents to $1 to $1.25, the crazy amount that they are now. And just certain times I remember certain issues. I remember when the Wolverine miniseries came out. That was awesome. All the different, Chris Claremont run and X-Men. John Byrne on Fantastic Four. I mean, all this stuff that I just remember getting. It's just things I could talk about that I can remember. I could talk more about music. I'm always willing to talk about music. Music would be that I would mostly talk about would be stuff that I grew up with. I could talk about when I heard an album or a song for the first time, when I saw a group in concert. I went to a lot of concerts when I was in high school, more than junior high. My mom would let me go a lot in junior high, but high school concerts back then were $20, and you saw freaking Iron Maiden and Metallica and maybe a local band for $20. That's unheard of today. But I could talk about stuff like that, or I could talk about sci-fi, favorite sci-fi movies, favorite sci-fi TV series, comic books, regular books, anything that you guys want. So just if you're gonna comment. Let me know what you want me to talk about. If it's all 3, I'll do all 3. But what you want to hear more of, or get a hold of me on Twitter or Instagram at some old metalhead, or some old guy, I think is Instagram, or Chromosome 21 Comics on Facebook. Not really any developments as far as Thrashers goes. I got another page from Nico for issue 2. Sent a whole bunch of pages to Rodrigo to color. That's it for that. Some of my other projects, Gen.exe, I got a couple pages back from the colorist there. A couple pages back from Metal Melee from the colorist. Yeah. So I'm putting it in your hands, my YouTube brethren, I guess. I don't know, that's corny. Anyways, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe. Please subscribe. I think I'm sitting at 8 subscribers. I want to get that number up. And to get that number up, I've got some books that I'm willing to give away when I get to, let's say, let's start with small, 25 subscribers. When I get to that, whoever's interested in putting their name in a hat for me to draw out some couple of crowdfunding books that I got extra copies of, and maybe I'll do, once I get to 50 or 100 or something, whenever that is, I might even throw in maybe who knows, we'll see. Anyways, once again, like the video, share the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you this weekend, but if not, be safe, stay safe, be smart, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace